Good, beautiful morning, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Shortcuts for Your Soul. Today I have with me the energy of Yogananda, who wants to talk about why you have reincarnated. And I think you're going to find this quite interesting, to say the least. It's important that you understand you did not incarnate to look back on the past and continue exploring there for the sake of the fascination of your mind, to look back and recount the many lives you've lived, has only but one use. And it's the only reason that you've reincarnated. And that is to improve and further develop your character and your character traits so that you may eventually one day become the embodiment of God. That is the reason you are in this lifetime. And it is the only reason you need to explore previous lifetimes to root out errors in your thinking and in your character and in your behavior so that you can make remedies and improve those behaviors so that you can again be the embodiment eventually of the divine, as did I, and a small number of others attained this also. It is the single most important goal any living soul can undertake. It is the most rewarding, and it is the most beneficial, and it is worth many lifetimes. For when you reach that place of ascension where you know that you and the Father are one, when you reach this place, all else is insignificant by comparison. In the life that you have now, you can equally achieve your divinity even in the lifetime you have now if you are willing to put your character and your own behavior under a microscope of your attention and evaluate their nature, their form, and their function. That is how they act upon the world, those traits and behaviors that you have, and how you can improve them. This is the only reason to look back into your past, is to improve your character that you might become a worthy vessel for the divine, and in so doing, you will essentially become God. Now, for some of you that understand what is being said, then this would be inspiring to you to consider that even in this lifetime, if you are able to eliminate negative and destructive character traits, even in this lifetime, you could attain what many have failed to attain over many dozens, hundreds, and even thousands of lifetimes, as a large number have chosen to get lost in the sensation of sensations, have chosen to be captivated by the physical world exclusively at the expense and even the denial of the spiritual world. And your denial of the spiritual world has consequences in terms of whether you will continue to perceive yourself in the light of error, and whether you will continue to live in the cycle of pain and suffering, pleasure and goodness, or in the cycles of birth and death. The perfected character no longer needs to return to the physical dimension. And I say the term perfected not to say that one reaches a state of absolute perfection, but relative to the conditions that you experience in this physical world, you can attain a level of perfection in that relative to others. You have a character that is good and righteous and reasonable and intelligent and rational. It is the only reason you have reincarnated, to come again to the opportunity to realize your divinity once and for all. And I say that word once and for all very specifically for when you realize your divine nature, when you become that space where it resides in you and reflects out through every word you say, every action you take, then your presence in this world benefits everyone with whom you will come in contact with. Not some, but everyone will benefit from the presence of your being when you've achieved that state of consciousness. Many of you are very fascinated with looking back at your past lives, seeking to know if you were this king or this emperor or this queen or that person or that artist. Many of you look back to seek to know these things. And again, the only reason to look back is to improve where you are in this moment. That is the only reason to go after the pursuit of knowing your past lives. Through the practice of meditation, this becomes extremely easy after a sufficient period of training, where you have your mind of the personality that you are currently identifying yourself as. When you can put that personality aside, where it is not interfering with you, you can begin to explore past lives. But be prepared when you do so, for you might find some things in your past lives that are not so very good and pleasant at all that you have done, and that you are here again to get an opportunity to remedy or correct those things. It can be very difficult for some of you that carry forward your suffering and your self-judgment for your past mistakes, and that is not much use to you to judge them in such a fashion. It's more beneficial to evaluate and correct than it is to self-deprecate at the realization, perhaps for some of you, of the heinous and destructive things you may have participated in while you existed in other lifetimes. This is the only reason you need to pursue information from past lives, is to correct the existing functions of your character now, so that those imperfections previously will not become a part of your subsequent creative process. Again, the ultimate goal in exploring past lives is ultimately to improve the function of your character now, to make your character, your mind, your body a beautiful and wonderful place in which the divine can sit and rest with you, so that you, as you have heard before, you and the Father can become one in that embodiment that you find yourselves in. The level of awareness required must be very diligent, because some of the things that you will discover about yourself can be quite painful. Some of the things you may have done in previous lives can be of a most horrific nature, and then many of you will have the challenge then of forgiving yourself for terrible and evil things that you've done in previous lifetimes. And often people can stay trapped in this cycle of self-condemnation for past errors, rather than simply correcting the errors in the present, resolving to never repeat them again to the best of their ability, till eventually those character flaws no longer exist. And then your function of behavior is now determined from the present and not from your past lives. But this, I will repeat again, cannot be overstated. The only reason to pursue knowledge and information of your past lives is to improve and perfect your character now. When you have sufficiently explored your past lives and have rooted out and changed most of the negative character attributes that you've carried forward, you will find yourself in a most wondrous state, where a realm of peace, quiet, and calm will flood your character, a state of well-being that is no longer dependent on how much money or who or what is in your life. The sacred nature of your character becomes more important than anything else as you seek to become the footstool of the divine, so that it can rest its knowledge and wisdom upon your consciousness and allow itself to issue forth into this world to elevate other aspects of itself to itself again. Do not be caught up with too much of the past. It is important you understand how to evaluate your character flaws at this present time and to make corrections in those character flaws to the best of your ability. How is it that you speak? What are the thoughts you think? They are very closely related. What are the emotions that you feel? All of these must be brought under the dominion of your consciousness, that you formulate an idea character that represents your closest approximation of what God would be if he were speaking, walking, and thinking through you. To consider that possibility on a day-to-day basis, if you frequent that consideration, how does God speak? How does God walk? How does God talk if God were who I am now? If you were all-knowing, all-powerful, and everywhere present, you would need no power over others, for it would already have been achieved. You would need very little from this world, but you have much to give to it in such a state, for you would also be inclined to assist and guide others in aiding them to end their unnecessary suffering, their destructive thinking, to help them perfect their characters to the best of their ability, as you had formerly done for yourself. At that place in your consciousness where you find yourself fully and completely liberated from your past, and the new dawn of your character, that divine consciousness, has been invited into your mind and into your heart and into your words and actions. At that point, then you can be of the greatest service to humanity, but not before. As long as you believe you need to supplicate yourself to feel good by how much money you have, or the fancy clothing you could wear, or the number of objects you would possess, when that is still a part of your life, it is very difficult to serve humanity in the fashion that I speak of, for you will be too caught up with your attachment to materialistic things. And if you are all-knowing and all-powerful and everywhere present, the materialistic things would have very little, if any, meaning to you, other than to be effective channels or mediums for the expression of your divine nature. That is, that which would impact the world in good and beneficent ways. This is the only reason you would want to realize your divinity. How could you do anything in error if you are one with the divine? You could not make a mistake as an all-knowing consciousness. This would be impossible. But in the error of human character, unfortunately, errors will happen. Mistakes will be made, and corrections can also be made. But the only reason you reincarnated into this lifetime is to further pursue a more divine and effective expression of your character, that you can become an embodiment for the divine through you and become a beacon for others to find that within themselves also. And this is the only reason you have reincarnated, and it is the only reason you need to evaluate and examine your past lives solely for the purpose of improving your existing character now, so that you do not repeat the errors of past lives. There are many of you doing this right now that have in past lives started great wars and caused great destruction and harm upon the lives of others. And here you are doing it again. And you will do it again, and you will do it again until you make that correction in your character. And there are many of you that are repeating the same things, a drunk in one lifetime and a drunk in the next and a drunk in the next. And it is not to self-deprecate, but to realize and correct. It is the only reason you look back into the past, is to make corrections in your existing character, so that you do not repeat for many lifetimes the unnecessary travesties that many of you have perpetuated and even are still living today. The idea that there are past lives has sufficient enough evidence scientifically to prove that it is true. And if you do your research properly, you'll find that this is the case. Simple functions like deja vu give your eye a chance to look or peer into the realization that you've seen this all before, you've experienced this before. And so take advantage if you have the opportunity to evaluate your past lives, but only from the perspective of improving your existing character now. Some of your past lives, you may be horrified to realize what you have done, or even disappointed in what you did not do. But do not get caught up in the disappointment or the horror. Make the correction in the character is far more preferable than the self-deprecating nature of some people to self-condemn and self-criticize for errors of the past. Correction is more valuable than self-condemnation or self-criticism. Correction is more valuable than self-condemnation or criticism. And so I come to you to say this today, that you have this opportunity to realize that the only reason for visiting past lives is to make corrections in your existing character now, that you do not repeat that which you have done before. Equally so, you may peer back into the past of your existing life from the moment of conception to this present moment, and you may evaluate very carefully and deliberately and considerately the errors you have made, the things that you know that you have done that were wrong, the things that you know you have done good, and make corrections in your character so that you swing your consciousness to the highest expression of good that's possible to your ability to choose, think, and reason into existence. For you are indeed a creator in the image and likeness of the divine, and you have the capacity to alter and change your character in ways that no other can cause you to do for yourself. You can certainly receive guidance and inspiration, and be mindful of the guidance and inspiration that you receive. Ensure that that character that you would choose to learn from, they themselves have some degree of perfection relatively better than your own, that you might learn and grow from them. I believe this adequately covers my consideration that I want to articulate with you today about the only reason you need to evaluate your past lives, and the only reason you have reincarnated is to perfect your character so that it becomes a more beneficent vehicle for the divine to function through, so that you and the divine will ultimately and eventually become one, irregardless of the delay that you might create being caught up in your past again and again, repeating the same mistakes again and again. Ultimately, the divine will be able to outweigh your delay more so than you can, as when you have the possession of eternity as your existence, you do not have to worry about waiting for anybody. I want to inspire you to take action in some way today, in your thoughts, in your words, and your actions. Consider in what way you might be able to improve your character more sufficiently and effectively to be a better service not only to your own mind and body, but to those with whom you associate on a daily basis. Find ways of not only improving your character, but offering those improvements to others. Seeking out and finding those of better character that you might be able to learn and grow and develop from. And take this forward with you. Take it to heart that these are the only considerations that you would want to get from this today, is that the only reason to look back into past lives is to improve your existing character. And the only reason you incarnated was to do so and perfect your character, that you might be the footstool for the divine. And that is the reason you are here. That is the reason you are now. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Yogananda. I appreciate that. You know, you're going to look back. You know, we've all done it. We've all looked back, haven't we? You know, Dolores Cannon's done some wonderful work in opening the doorway for people to go into past lives. And there are many others now that have developed that skill where you can actually go back and peer into past lives. And I hope you do it, and do it for the same reason that he suggested, that just to use it to improve your character. And I like that he also pointed out that look into this life, look back in your past from where you are now. What are the things you've said or done that you might still be saying and doing that aren't beneficial for yourself or other people? and resolve to make corrections. He's also telling me to tell you it's very important you understand that even if you repeat a mistake, so long as there's the effort to correct the mistake consistently applied, then eventually the mistake will be eradicated from your character and your behavior. So be patient and be kind with yourself in this process as well. It will not serve you any good to be harsh or detrimental to yourself. It is much better to be patient and kind and understand that your character requires training. As it was trained by the environment, so you too must train it now to be under the authority and dominion of your consciousness. Remember this, that even if you repeat a mistake, so long as you resolve to make some progress to reduce and eventually eliminate mistaken behaviors, mistaken thoughts, then you are progressing forward. And you have enough time to do this. You've had many lifetimes, many of you already. So keep this in mind, that any conscious and deliberate act towards improvement, no matter how small, is a movement forward, so long as you don't go backwards. Evaluate if you were better next week than you were last week. Are you better now than you were before? Have you improved something? This is the benchmark you can use. If you are an alcoholic and you are drinking less, then you have moved forward. If you are still drinking, but you are drinking less, you have still moved forward. If you're dealing with addiction, any progress is progress. Eventually, as long as you keep making those slight forward movements, you will overcome your addictions. You will overcome your difficulties. You'll overcome your challenges. Just evaluate even the slightest bit of progress consistently sustained will ultimately result in the perfected development of your character. And that is wonderful, and that is good to know. So we all have those things to work on, don't we? And as long as you can say at the end of each day, I improved a little bit. And do that. I highly recommend. He says I do that. I should do that every day too. You need to lie back in bed before you go to sleep at night and look at your day. Look at what you said. Look at what you did. Look at how you said it. Look at how you did it, and ask yourself, what can I do to improve that, so I don't have to be that way with people. Evaluate your actions, your words, your gestures, and make some effort every single day. Like he's saying, any little effort every day will ultimately result in you achieving the perfected outcome of your character. I like that phrase. That's a really beautiful phrase. I really do. I really do. For those of you that are wondering, those of you who are just joining us or are wondering, I was just channeling Yogananda on why you have reincarnated. And I was quite fascinated to have that experience with him and have him share that knowledge and wisdom with us. Thank you so much for the love and the wisdom and the gratitude. I want to say much love, much wisdom, and much gratitude to Yogananda as well, because his knowledge is he's the closest thing to Ascended Master Yeshua that we've seen in a long time, right? There are others, but he was the most overt one. He put himself on the world stage to kind of bring the awareness of the divine, that God is within you, back to us. Hi there. Maybe it could help with empathy and forgiveness. Absolutely. He says yes. Casey Martin, Yogananda, does William still feel a misuse of his power from his past lives? Is this inhibiting his full capacity in this life? Well, I yes and no. As he said, every step towards correction is a step towards perfection. And I can say I've had some past lives that I'm very familiar with that have been some pretty terrible things that have happened, and not just in past lives, but also things I've done in this life that I'm not very happy, but I've improved. And I can say of 100% certainty, Casey, that yes, my character is 180 degrees from where it was 2,000 years ago. It's 180 degrees from where it was 20 years ago. It's 180 degrees from where it was 10 years ago. And so we move forward, right? It's very fascinating. Thank you so much for asking that question. Hi, Casey. Good to see you. Hi. Reincarnated in divine character. Yes. Thank you so much for that. Mark of love. Ooh, I've never seen the mark of love before, except the one I feel in my heart sometimes. Infinite love and gratitude to you as well. Been having problems with digestion lately. Food combining problems, morning pain. Any suggestions? Yeah, first thing that comes to my mind is to tell you this. Do not mix fruit and any other food within 2 hours of each other. If you're going to have a breakfast, make certain it's exclusively fruit. If you're going to start off with that process, live juices, fresh juicing, but vegetables and fruits, don't mix them together. They're bad combinations. They can taste really good, but you want to have one or the other. You can have vegetable juice in the morning or fruit juice in the morning, one or the other, but don't have them within 2 hours of each other. And yeah, food combining is really big for you. You'll find a lot of correction will happen really fast in your digestive system. That's what I'm being told to tell you, right? Like grandma used to say, eat properly. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Say again, internet stopped. Again, I can't control what the internet's going to do, but if you want to see the full transmission from Yogananda, if you want to hear the full transmission from Yogananda, you can go to my YouTube channel in about an hour's time, and the replay of this event will be on my YouTube channel. But I can summarize it. Basically, what he said is, the reason you've reincarnated now is to perfect your character so that you can become a space for God to live in you and through you. Again, I'm paraphrasing. He also said that it's really important. The only reason to evaluate or examine past lives is to make improvements in your character in this life, not to get caught up or fascinated with you were Cleopatra, or you were Julius Caesar, or you were Michelangelo. Those are all wonderful, but all those lifetimes should only be visited for the purpose of how do you elevate and perfect your character to a higher level than even those lifetimes. And again, I'm paraphrasing. Those aren't the exact words they use, but very close to that. Hi there. Question from Drusilla. I had a feeling of my higher self trying to enter my body. I had a very severe, sharp pain in my spine. Can you please ask how I can help? Yes, you need to use the term I'm getting to tell you is the function of Kundalini breathing. You need to keep your spine. When your higher self wants to integrate with the body, it's important that your spine is very straight and that your channels, the lower energy centers are closed up. The chakras, the root chakra is tightened up so nothing runs out of the body. You want to build that energy up so the higher self can anchor itself into the body with you. Keeping the spine straight is the most important thing, Drusilla. Keep your spine straight when that's happening. If you're lying down, sit up. Get the spine as straight as you possibly can so that can happen. Because that's what will happen sometimes. If the spine's not straight, it's like trying to put a straw through a curved surface. If the straw is not able to bend, then it's not going to go through. So the spine is like that. It's designed to channel energy perfectly up and down. But you want to make certain the spine is straight when that's going to happen again. Hi there. Hi, Daniela. Good to see you. Question from Daniela. Did the light language I spoke the other night facilitate the coming together with the business partner? Yes, it did. It did. That's why you felt what you felt. That's why you're asking the question. You just wanted confirmation. There you go. Does the fear of misuse of power still linger? That was my real question. Does the fear of misuse? That's a really great question, Casey. Yeah, actually, now if I look at that, yes, that is a consideration. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. That's a place I'm going to be looking in my meditation after this. Wow, fear of the misuse of power. Yeah, because some of us have had past lifetimes where we've done some pretty horrible things. Look at some of the people right now in Europe and in Asia, in North America, politicians, other people that are doing really terrible things. And they've carried over old behaviors from other lifetimes, and they're still playing them out, believing that material control and power is the ultimate game. It's not. It's just a small game, right? They're playing small. No sound? Hang on, let me see what's going on here. Oh, there should be sound now. Should be sound on YouTube. Has this battery gotten weak or something? I might have to change this microphone out. Okay, unless I somehow pushed it. This has got pushed in properly. There we go. Sound has been gone, and I didn't hear what you said about digestion. Okay, with regard to digestion, again, you need to either consume fruits or fruit juices in the morning, or vegetable juices in the morning. Preferably the vegetable juices are telling me, but do not eat fruit or vegetable juices within a 2-hour span of each other. They'll create a nasty combination inside. They can taste really good, but they can create a nasty combination inside. Right? Keep that in mind. And just watch that. So I think this battery for some reason is going, but we'll see how we go. Yolanda's asking, I did a QHAT session yesterday. Any messages from my guides or higher self? I did not get yesterday. Thank you. Again, the only reason to pursue, I'm paraphrasing what Yogananda said. The only reason to explore past lives is so that you can make corrections in your character in this life. And the only reason you should be looking back on your past in this lifetime is to improve your existing character now, so that you can ultimately become a space ready to operate with the divine. As Yogananda said, and as Yeshua said, you and the Father can become one, right? Let's see how you're doing there. Okay, hang on. Yeah, hang on, guys. Just a minute. Change a microphone out here for people on TikTok. Let's see, where's this guy? Where are you hiding? I'll just take this off for now. That'll do it. I thought I'd charge this guy up. There we go. So TikTok, you should be able to hear me now. I must have grabbed the wrong microphone that wasn't charged. It's all good. So yes, keep that in mind, Yolanda. That's the only reason. If you're not getting something, it's because you don't need to get something from that. But look at, again, I'm paraphrasing what Yogananda said, and for those of you that are just joining us, you can go watch the full transmission from Yogananda on YouTube, where it'll be there in its entirety with unbroken sound. Again, the only reason he says that you've reincarnated now is to improve your character sufficiently enough that you can unite with the divine, that the divine can unite within you. You want to become the embodiment of it. The only reason you should go back and evaluate past lives is to recognize and identify errors in your character that you may have carried over and make corrections in them. Again, for the purpose of ultimately perfecting your character so that you and the divine can become one in expression. Wonderful. Hang on, let's see. Is it true that guides is bad for that gluten is bad for the gut and brain health? I can't say that I can't say that. I'm getting, in your case, there is a balance that can be struck. But everything that is naturally grown and produced was naturally grown and produced because it was perfect for the human body to consume. Please understand that there are functions of food in this dimension that are naturally grown, that are perfectly designed for your body. There are many things fabricated by human innovation that do not effectively sustain, maintain, or promote the health and well-being of your physical organism. Quite the opposite. Wow. Yeah, Drusilla's saying the sounds have been perfect on YouTube the whole morning. Again, please go to my YouTube channel, William Michael Forbes on YouTube, and you can watch the full transmission then. I apologize about the sound. Hi there. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I'm just scrolling to see if I missed any questions. Sound is gone again. Well, sound's back again. Hi. Okay. I got 2 new messages down there. Hi. Hi. Anything specific from my guides? Melissa, you really need to watch this recording again. It says it all in a nutshell. Yogananda is probably one of the straightest shooters I know in the last 2,000 years since Yeshua about the truth and knowledge. Was not the only, but he's one of the most obvious ones if you want to explore that. But watch the transmission that happened at the very beginning. It's over on YouTube in about an hour's time after it's rendered to the YouTube system, and you can watch the whole transmission from Yogananda. I want to wish all of you a wonderful day and say thank you to each and every one of you for supporting this channel in the way that you do and you can. Really, really appreciate it. To my Patreons, we'll see you guys on the 21st. I'm looking for our Patreon only live event. And again, I want to say thank you to Yogananda for his presence, his wisdom, his knowledge, and his truth as he understands it. And I want to wish you all a most wonderful and joyful day. And I will see you guys on the Friday edition of Shortcuts for Soul, where we'll be doing an open forum. If you want to come on live with me, we can do a healing process. I'm going to have Archangel Raphael, and I'm going to have Master Saint Germain with me on Friday. So that's going to be kind of fun. Archangel Raphael and Master Saint Germain are old buddies. They work with different types of energy, but the result is always the same: wholeness, health, well-being, and healing, not just for the body, but for the mind, for the emotions. So come and join us on Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on Shortcuts for Your Soul, and I'll look forward to seeing all of you then and there. Bye for now.